do we do what we do? Why are we nice to some people and not others? Why do we stay in toxic relationships or jobs? Why do we go for our football team? Do we get some sort of benefit from that? How about other people? How do we convince people to change their behaviour or their opinion? Is it really down to just being nice? Well, when it comes to understanding why we do what we do, why we like what we like, why we love who we love, psychology tells us that we act first and then our brain justifies it for us. The cart of behaviour is put before the horse of reason. And this knowledge is power. The power to realise that we can make changes in our lives. The power to understand that we can take a step back and analyse our motivations and maybe make some improvements in our lives. And to illustrate this, I'm going to take us back 300 years and introduce a man who became a gentleman and a scholar, a musician, a scientist, a statesman, an author and a publisher. And as a young man, someone who knew that knowledge is power in so many different ways. This man was born in 1706 to a poor, working class family. Benjamin Franklin would only do 2 years of formal schooling. Instead, his parents sent him to work, and at the age of 12, he was apprenticed to his brother James, who was a printer. And the printing business gave him an opportunity to read so much. He read everything that he came across and taught himself every discipline and skill that he could from text alone. It was like he was the only kid in the neighbourhood with access to the internet. At the age of 17, he moved from Boston to Philadelphia and started his own printing business. And at 21, he started a club of mutual support, and he invited people of similar interest, working class backgrounds, to swap their books, to write and recite essays, to debate about the topics of the day. Sounds familiar, really. He would gobble up this knowledge and use this group like it was a consulting firm, bouncing ideas off them to improve his own writing and his own skill set. He even formed the first subscription library in America with the outward goal of improving education standards for working class people, but with the added benefit of being able to buy whatever books he liked. Genius. Because as we know, knowledge is power. By the 1730s, Benjamin Franklin was riding down an information superhighway of his own construction. And even though he collected a few enemies during this time, he knew how to deal with haters. When he was standing for re-election for the position of clerk of the General Assembly in Pennsylvania, one of his colleagues stood up and delivered a long speech criticising him. And although Franklin still won the election, this guy really pissed him off. He needed to do something about it. But he also understood that this guy was someone who would become very important in the government as time went on. So he had to be dealt with correctly. Benjamin Franklin decided he would turn him into a fan, but without paying him any sort of servile respect. Benjamin Franklin, as a book collector and library founder, had the standing of a person with discerning literary interests. So he wrote the guy a letter and asked to borrow a book, a particularly curious and scarce book that was of great interest to him. And this man, the rival, sent it straight away. And then Franklin sent it back a week later with a note of thanks. Mission accomplished. Because the next time the legislature met, this man came up to Franklin for the first time and spoke to him face to face. Franklin said that their friendship went on from there and grew until his rival's death. What happened here? How can you turn an enemy into a friend by asking for a favour? How does asking for a kindness change someone's opinion about you? Well, the answer to what psychologists call the Benjamin Franklin effect is the answer to where a lot of our motivations come from. The misconception is that we do nice things for people we like and we do bad things to people we hate. But it turns out we grow to like the people for whom we do nice things, and we grow to hate the people we harm. The cart before the horse. Franklin's rival was compelled to do this nice thing for Franklin, given line in the book, and his brain rationalised it by suggesting that he liked him all along. And this knowledge is powerful. We can use this in our own lives, and my friend Mike uses this skill to make friends at caravan parks. He'll turn up at the caravan park with his family, set up his van, go for a wander, and spy some friendly looking people and look at the make and model of their van. And he'll just go up to the owner and say, hey, we're thinking of getting the Corrimal Campstar 3000 ourselves. We're thinking of maybe trading in. Would you recommend it? Now what's happening here? They both have a common interest. They're at a caravan park, so they must like caravaning. Mike spotted that he's got some expertise, a very specific expertise, with understanding this particular model and comparing it to others when he bought it. And who doesn't like sharing their expertise when they buy an expensive object? We all love that, whether we buy a car or a house or an air fryer or a Thermomix, whatever's in fashion. We love sharing that experience. And so this guy rationalises, Mike must be a great guy because I'm sharing this information with him. And what does Mike get out of it? Well, that evening he's got someone to chat with and share beers with and share the communal barbecue with. Maybe even start a long-standing friendship. This is an important skill to remember. This knowledge is power. It's something we can use to take a step back and understand our motivations and to influence others' motivations to help us along. We can use it to ask for help at work. We can use it to show kindness to one another. And that's the ultimate goal. We can use this for harm, but ultimately we need to remember that when we deal out hate in the world, we just build up more hate in ourselves. When we deal out kindness in the world, then we grow to love the people we help. And that knowledge is power.